The moment I stepped into that room, every head turned, and none of them were human. I am Grace Hartley, and I was the only person from Earth in a hall built for 40 different species, most of them stronger than me, faster than me, and older than my entire planet's history put together. The air smelled sharp, like metal and something burnt. Every chair faced a raised platform where the proctors sat, watching us the way a farmer watches new animals in a pen. There were 2 empty seats left. One was in the front row, right under the lights, where everyone could see me shake if I got scared. The other was tucked in the back, half hidden behind a metal beam, in the shadows where the light barely reached. I walked past the front seat without slowing down, and sat in the back. I did not think about it. It was simply habit. Years of training had taught me to keep my back against something solid, and to keep the whole room in front of my eyes. I never sat where I could not see the door. That was not bravery. That was just how a person stays alert. But nobody in that hall knew my history. All they saw was a small, soft creature with no claws, no scales, and no weapons, walking straight past the safest seat in the building, and choosing the one seat that only made sense for something that was not afraid of anything in the room. The silence that followed was heavy enough to touch. A tall being with a shell like dark glass turned his whole upper body toward me, slow and careful, like a machine recalculating something. Beside him, a creature with skin the color of storm clouds flared the ridges along her neck, and I would later learn that meant surprise mixed with alarm. Even the proctor at the podium stopped talking mid-sentence. His throat pouch swelled once, then sank down slowly, and his 4 eyes fixed on me, like I had just done something no one had ever seen before. "You may move to a seat with better visibility," the proctor said, his voice arriving through the translator half a second late, flat and cautious. "I can see just fine from here," I answered. Nobody moved for a long moment. Then, one by one, they turned back toward the platform, but not fully. I noticed that none of them sat with their back completely turned toward me for the rest of that session. It was small, almost nothing, but it told me they were watching me the way you watch something you have not figured out yet. The lecture continued. Something about trade routes and old treaties between star systems, but I could feel the weight of attention pressing against the back of my neck the whole time. When the session ended, most of the room filed out quickly, wanting distance between themselves and whatever I was. One of them did not leave. A being nearly twice my height walked toward me, with slow, heavy steps, his boots striking the floor like a drumbeat. His skin was a deep bronze color, covered in ridges that looked like dried riverbeds. His eyes were black from edge to edge, no white, no color, just endless dark. This was Kalen Voss, a name I would learn only after the encounter, the leader of a species called the Draenir, known across 3 star systems for a very simple reputation. They did not lose. "You sat in the hunter's seat," he said, his translated voice deep and slow, like stone grinding against stone. "That seat belongs to the one who does not need to see the exit, because the exit needs to worry about seeing them first." "I did not know that seat had a name," I said. "Everyone in this hall knew," he said. "Everyone except you, and still, you chose it." I felt my pulse pick up, but I kept my face calm. Showing fear in front of something like Kalen would have been like ringing a bell for dinner. "Maybe I just like the shadows," I said. His mouth opened slightly, showing rows of teeth built for tearing through things far tougher than bread. It was not a smile. It was closer to a question. "There is a test," he said, "once every cycle, in the lower ring of this station, where the gravity runs heavy and the air runs thin. Those who claim the hunter's seat by accident are found quickly. Those who claim it on purpose are given the chance to prove it. And if I refuse? Then everyone will know you sat there by mistake," he said, "and mistakes are remembered longer than victories in this station." I thought about walking away. I thought about telling him that back home, sitting with my back to a wall was something children learned from parents who had seen too much, not some grand statement about being the most dangerous thing in the room. But something in his tone told me that walking away would cost me more than staying and facing whatever waited in that lower ring. "Take me there," I said. The lower ring of Threshold Station was nothing like the polished halls above. The corridors were narrow, the lights dimmer, and the air pressed against my chest with every breath, heavier than anything I had trained in. Kalen walked beside me without a word, his footsteps steady, his breathing calm, like the heavy gravity meant nothing to him at all. We reached a wide, round chamber, with a floor made of dark metal plates and walls lined with old scars, the kind left behind by things far worse than scratches. A small crowd had already gathered along a raised walkway above, watching. Word travels fast in a place built on reputation. The test is simple, Kalen said. You stand in the center. I circle you. If you keep your eyes on me the entire time, without turning your back once, without stepping away from the center mark, you pass. If you flinch, if you turn, if you break the circle, you fail, and everyone will know the truth. And what happens if I pass? Then the seat is yours, he said, and so is the respect that comes with it. I stepped into the center mark, a small circle etched into the metal floor. The heavy gravity made my legs feel like they were filled with sand, but I planted my feet and steadied my breathing the way I had been taught years ago, long before any of this. Kalen began to circle me. He moved slowly at first, his eyes locked on mine, testing to see if I would follow him with my whole body or just my head. I kept my feet still and turned only enough to track him, the way you track a storm rolling across open land, respecting it without running from it. He picked up speed, circling faster, his heavy boots striking sparks off the metal floor. The crowd above went quiet, leaning forward. I felt sweat form along my hairline, but I did not let my eyes drop, and I did not let my feet move from that small circle. He stopped directly behind me. For 3 full seconds, I could not see him. I could only hear his breathing, slow and deep, and feel the heat coming off his massive frame just behind my shoulder. Every instinct I had screamed at me to turn around, to check, to protect myself the way I had always been taught. But turning meant breaking the circle. Turning meant failing. I stayed still. I focused on my breathing, counted the seconds in my head, and trusted that whatever happened behind me, my legs would still be planted in that circle when it was done. 3 seconds passed, like 3 long minutes. Then Kalen stepped back into my line of sight, his black eyes studying my face for any sign of the fear he must have known was crawling through me. Most creatures turn before I finish the first circle, he said. You did not turn at all. I was told not to, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. He tilted his head slightly, a gesture I would later learn was the closest thing his species had to being impressed. The seat is yours, he said, and so is a new title. From this day, in this station, you are called the Still One, the one who does not need to see the danger to know it will not touch her first. The crowd above began to murmur, a strange mix of clicks, growls, and low tones that the translator struggled to keep up with. I understood the meaning anyway. It was respect, the kind that does not come from kindness, but from something harder to earn. Kalen extended one large hand toward me, palm open, an old gesture across many species meaning no harm intended. I placed my hand against his, small against his massive palm, and shook it once, firm and steady. You did not come from a species built for claws or fangs, he said, yet you carry yourself like something far more dangerous, something that has already survived worse than a room full of predators. I did not answer that directly. Some things are better left unexplained, especially to strangers from other worlds who measure strength in teeth and speed, rather than the quiet kind of endurance that gets a person through the hardest years of their life. We walked back up together, out of the heavy gravity, and into the brighter halls above, and for the rest of my time on Threshold Station, no one ever offered me the front row again. They understood, without needing more proof, that some seats are chosen by those who need protection, and some are chosen by those who have already learned how to protect themselves. I never went looking for that kind of reputation. I only wanted a quiet seat with my back against something solid, and the whole room within sight. But sometimes, the smallest habits, the ones built from years of simply staying alert, tell a bigger story than anything a person could ever say out loud. And in a station full of predators from 100 different worlds, that quiet habit was enough to make every single one of them turn and watch me.